Right, for this butterfly painting, you are going to need the butterfly stencil, which is at the drawing table. Then the colors we used were yellow, orange, pink, and blue, but you can use whichever colors of paint that you want. Then you are also going to need the paint marker for the black. It'll make this a lot easier. And then I did use regular black paint for the body part right here because it's a bigger area of black. And then I added white detail, so some white paint as well. You're also going to need a pencil to make sure you draw the butterfly, and then we cut them out, so you'll need a scissors. So let's get started. All right, so for this, I kind of saw a picture of this and I really liked how this looked. So I'm going to try and do something very similar to this. So I'm going to use the butterfly stencil and I'm going to trace this first with a pencil. And I'm going to trace two of them on my paper because I can fit them both, and then we're going to end up cutting these out later. Okay, then on the stencil, I think the little antennas, I don't know, I think they're called that, broke off. So if you want to redraw them, you can. They're just kind of lines with a little like thicker ball at the end. But you can also leave them off because it is hard to cut those out. So it's up to you. Okay, so I'll draw one on there, leave one off on the bottom. All right, so we're gonna just start painting them, and then it's okay if we get outside the lines because we're gonna cut it out. So I'm gonna start with yellow. And I'm gonna do from the middle, kind of almost like a sunburst, so. So I kind of smoothed out all the paint, made sure I didn't have any globs, and add yellow. Then I'm gonna go to my orangish color. And you can also use whatever colors you want. You don't have to use the same. So orangish color. I only have a little bit on my paintbrush. I'm using the orange paintbrush just so I don't have too much paint. And I'm going to paint kind of beside it first. Then I'm going to drag it over top of the yellow to blend them. So now I'm kind of like sweeping it over top. And I'm going to pull this orange out a little bit because our next color is going to go over top of that. So I paint beside, get all the most of the paint off my brush, then I'm going to sweep it over top. And since these colors are really kind of close to similar colors, it looks nicely blended without really trying too hard. Then I'm going to smooth out the globs. Okay, my next color I have is pink. So I'm washing out my brush, drying it. Otherwise it'll get way too watery on your paper. And then do the same thing with the pink. So painting most of it kind of to the side. Then I'm going to sweep over top. Right, so where the pink is overlapping the orange, it's creating like a darker orange, which is totally fine. If you have like a harsh line, this kind of is not like a harsh line, but if you have a harsh line with the pink, what you can do is you can wash off your brush, dry it off, so your brush will still be a little bit wet, and then you can go over the orange, or it's the darker orange from the pink again. So just kind of painting over top of it with just water. It's going to blend it out just a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with pink to the other side. Okay, then I'm going to use a dark blue as my last little color here. So I only need a tiny bit on my brush because we don't have that much space and we don't want to just cover up all the pink. So I'm trying to get most of the paint off my brush because I did take too much. I'm just dabbing it to the sides, and then I'm going to sweep it over that pink. Right, so my butterfly background is all dry. So now I'm going to be looking at this butterfly picture and trying to copy like how these little parts are sectioned up to paint the black. So if we can kind of look, what's on this little part of the wing is exactly the same on this side. So when I start drawing it, I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to zoom in on one to kind of show you how I'm going to do this. So this little section is going to be all black, so I'm going to just draw that this body kind of comes in and then connects. Kind of looks weird. Okay. Then, let's see, we got a big section over here, so I'm going to draw kind of like that. I'm going to do that all around the same. On this side. And then I'm going to do a smaller one down here. So it almost looks like the butterfly wings, just a little smaller. Then I'm going to section these into sections. So this one's going to come into four little sections. One, then another one, and then this one's going to be itty bitty tiny. Okay. So if we ever kind of forget what's going to be black, I'm going to add like a little X. That's going to be black. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I need this to be a nice bigger section. We need like a medium and then a little tiny section. Okay, and then X's for where it's black. Okay, down here I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to do a nice big section in the middle. And a big section in the middle over here. Then these will become a section. And over here is a section. Okay. Then, let's see. This is going to be little circles right here. So a little circle, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, now around this whole thing, we're going to add just little like rectangles or little like raindrop shapes. So we're just going to add kind of like a little section going all the way around. So it's going to create, I'm going to draw a line because maybe that will help us. So it's going to kind of create the butterfly shape again, like this. But it's going to be little sections like this. So they're going to kind of blend into each other. So they can be little squares. They can look like more like petal shapes. Like even like right here, I could just do a big one. Okay, so nice big sections like that. So I'm going to do the same thing kind of on the other side, trying to have it look like this side. All right, then for the wings, from the picture, it looks like there's just all these little circles on this side, and then these are kind of more like square rectangles, but I think we can just do circles again. So I'm going to do kind of bigger boxes all the way around. All right, I need to sharpen my pencil, so I'm going to pause the video. Okay, and then just to fill in my little extra spaces, I'm going to be doing just kind of little boxes. Or you can kind of choose whichever shapes you want. Okay, then to make our life a lot easier, we're going to be using a paint pen for a lot of this, and maybe we'll go in with some black paint also. So with this paint marker, I'm going to make sure it's working. So if I can press down on the table, and I'm like pouncing with it to start getting the ink to flow. Alright, so I'm going to start on this side because I'm right-handed, so I don't want to like smear my paper. So I'm just going to start going around each of these little shapes and then filling it in where it's supposed to be black. So you go around the shape that we drew and then kind of fill in between. So this is making my life so much easier with the paint marker, because this would be very challenging with black paint. For the middle, for this part, I think I'll probably just end up doing black paint. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep on kind of circling around all these shapes that we drew and then filling in between them. Okay, so in the picture that I saw, they had all these little white markings around the shapes, not like perfect, but there was just that extra little detail. So I started testing out, seeing if I liked that, and I kind of did. So if you would like to also add this white, what you can do is just grab a tiny blue brush and your white paint. And I'm using just some white paint that's on the side and just wiping that just to not have too much on my brush. And you're just going to go in the inside of these shapes and just add. You don't have to go all the way around the shape, like make a perfect outline, but you're just adding like a little kind of line, almost like the same shape inside. So I'm kind of going like around the outside, but not all the way around, if that makes sense. you can decide if you want to add this. And then they also had some on the body, like just some little dots. I don't know if I like that or not, but so I'm just going to keep on going with the white since it is kind of like the picture. And we'll see if we like it at the end.